What are the best and worst seasons for all of the Stranger Things characters? Let's discuss. What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and welcome back to another Stranger Things tier list videos. Today I have a bit of a unique one. I've compiled all of the main characters from Stranger Things, and I'm going to be placing them in tiers based on their best season to their worst season. So basically going through ranking all the seasons for the characters, if that makes sense. I've been doing this as a short form series, and I wanted to go ahead and do it in long form with all the characters, and I'll explain the tiers and the pictures I have as well of the characters here in a second. But before I get into it, hit that like button, comment down below what you think the best and worst seasons for all the characters of Stranger Things are, and of course, subscribe and hit that notification bell to help reach my goal of 200,000 subscribers here on the channel. It would mean quite a bit. And if you want to revisit Stranger Things Season 5 with me, Patreon is the place to be. I'm currently doing a rewatch over there and then diving into every episode, almost calling it like a Season 5 therapy session where we break it all down, what we love, what we don't care for, what we wish was different. That's over on Patreon right now, having a lot of fun with that series. Without further ado, I say we just dive into this tier list. So the tiers I have are best season, great season, solid season, season, and worst season. And as you can see down below, I have a picture of every character from every season they're in. I, of course, included every character who's been around since season 1, and then I included characters who were introduced in season 2 and had a major role, right, like Murray, Erica, or Max, and one character from season 3 being Robin. I didn't include characters who were in 2 seasons or just 1 season. I'm just looking at characters who've been around for 3 or more seasons that serve a major role in this show. So first up, I've got Mike. As you can see, we have season 1, season 2, season 3, season 4, and season 5. Each of those will go in a different tier, making up my Mike ranking based on his season. So first up, we've got Mike Wheeler from season 1. This, of course, is vintage OG Mike. I'm going to say this is a great season for him. It is like almost the best version of the character. He is the leader in season 1, and he's like the main kid. Basically, in season 1, he is the Elliot from E.T. Then you got season 2 Mike, which I would say is a solid season for Mike. He's actually kind of smart here, borderline OP at times when he's able to figure out that Will is the spy in episode 6 at the very end. That's a great moment for him. And he is a supportive friend to Will as well when he's having those now memories. So I'd say season 2 is a solid season for Mike. When it comes to season 3, this is where I'm kind of like, Mike feels like he's a bit in the background here. He's kind of whiny this season. I never cared for the way he treats Hopper. I'm going to say this is an season for Mike. Season 3 is not really a standout for him in my opinion, even though he does have some solid moments with Eleven in the back half of the season specifically, but it's like a season. Then we get to Mike's low point, in my opinion, okay? I think season 4 Mike Wheeler is the worst version of the character. I'm going to go ahead and put him down there right now. When it comes to Mike in season 4, he's just too silly. He's very oblivious to everything that's going on, and he's disconnected from the rest of the party outside of that first episode. So we don't really get to see Mike with Dustin, with Lucas. For a lot of the season, he's just out with the California crew, and that as a whole is one of the weaker character groupings and overall storylines in Stranger Things. So I'm going to say season 4 easily Mike's worst season.
I asked for Vomit Green, and I got Vomit Green.
He isn't even really all there with Eleven or Will. He can't really read the room for a lot of the season, so he's just a very dumbed down version of the character, in my opinion. And the polar opposite of that would be season 5 Mike. I think this is the best version of the character. Potential hot take, I know a lot of you guys probably have season 1 Mike up there, but I'm going best season for Mike, season 5. He reassumes the role of a leader and like a return to glory. He's gathering everyone up in volume 1, laying out the plan. You got people like Hopper and Joyce listening to him. Steve's listening to him. Of course, the party's listening to him. He's commanding the attention of everyone in the room. He's the heart. Ultimately, in the end, he lives on to tell these stories and has everyone believing. We also get to see him be a sibling this season, right? He's with Nancy, having some moments. He's an older brother to Holly, so you get to see him really at his best, in my opinion, in various elements. And to me, Mike Wheeler in season 5 is the best version of that character. Next, we got Will Byers, or Will the Wise, if you will. When it comes to season 1, he's not in this season a whole lot, but his impact is felt. His absence is felt, right? Everyone in this season is trying to find him. We also get some flashbacks that add depth to his relationship with Joyce, and now having seen season 5, there's even more context with the opening scene and flashbacks and more information we've gathered. I'm going to say season 1 Will, solid. I think that's a solid season for the character. By no means is he some scene stealer because he's not in the show all that much, but just up front, you establish the friendship he has with the rest of the party. He goes missing, and the entire season literally revolves around him being gone. So I'm going to say it's a solid season for him. Then we got season 2, Will. To me, when I think of Will Byers, my mind goes to season 2. I'm putting him up there right now. I think that's his best season. Honestly, it's the best version of the character because he's still dealing with trauma and PTSD from season 1, obviously when he was down in the Upside Down, but he plays a huge role in this season with his now memories, his connection to the Mind Flayer in the Upside Down. He ultimately is the spy. This leads to the Morse code sequence where he taps close gate and relays that message to everyone. It's just the best version of the character to me, and it's really one of the few times we get to see Will be a kid with the other kids, at least for some of this season, until he gets essentially repossessed again, and that's a bummer. But his best season to me is season 2. Then we got season 3. I think this is the worst season for Will. I'm putting him down here. He's just off base. Like, he's not really connecting with his friends at all. He's almost on a different wavelength than everyone this entire season. There are some sad moments, like when he destroys Castle Byers, but for the most of this season, he's just, wanting to play D&D, and it shows, hey, there's just a disconnect with him and the other characters, and I always thought Will was extremely sidelined in this 3rd season. Speaking of being sidelined, same for season 4 with Will. They put him out in California. It was kind of an intentional decision because when he's out in California, there isn't that immediate connection to the Hive Mind and the Upside Down and Vecna, so he was fully out of the loop basically for all of season 4. And I just didn't really care. It was an season for Will, in my opinion. Far from his best, and definitely like a mediocre at best season for Will, who, along with Mike, is just kind of sidelined that season. Then we got season 5, Will, where he actually gets to tap into the Hive Mind and channel Vecna's powers. How badass. The end of episode 4 is probably the highlight of Will in season 5. Ultimately, he plays a major role in taking down Vecna, as he is able to tap into the Hive Mind and save some people throughout the season, notably Max and Holly in the, Shock Jock episode. But I think it's a great season for Will. Not only does he get to use powers, but also he sort of has some great heart-to-hearts with his mom, Joyce. He comes out to everybody, and they accept him and love him for who he is. So he has some highlight moments for sure. It's one of his strongest seasons, easily. Then we got 11. When it comes to 11, I am of the opinion that her best season is season 1. It's vintage 11. There's the most mystery around this character. She instantly walked into this show and became an icon. From the Eggo Waffles moments to her interactions with Papa, I'm putting her at the top. Season 111, I think, is the best version of this character. Again, there's the most mystery around her. We still get some hints at what's going on with her, but you could just show like a silhouette of a face with that dress on, a bloody nose, and an Eggo Waffle. You're like, boom, that's 11 from Stranger Things. She kind of became the face of this show from season 1 alone, so I gotta say that's her best season. Then we got season 2, 11. This is a very solid season for 11, right? She grows personally. She's kind of detached from the rest of the character groupings for a lot of the season, but she ultimately ends up going on sort of a journey of self-discovery. She has that moment with Kali where she realizes, like, I don't want to be a part of this. I love my friends. I want to go back and save them.
Bitchin'.
And so I feel like she grows a lot. She's independent this season. Plus, even before she goes missing or runs away, if you will, she has some iconic moments with Hopper at Hopper's cabin, and we get to see the Hopper and Elle father-daughter dynamic. So I'm going to say it's a very solid season for 11. Then we got season 3. I would say this is tough. I would go eh. I mean, and I don't think this is a bad season for the character by any means, but I'm going to put her in eh just because I think the other seasons are stronger. I think 11 pretty much has a lot to do in most of these seasons, so it's just by default this one has to come in 4th place for her. But the standout for season 3 is going to be the Elle-Max friendship. We'll talk about that more when we get to Max later on, but season 3, I feel like, she loses her powers in the end. She doesn't have as much to do. I love the sauna test moment. That's probably the highlight 11 moment this season. Then we got season 4. I think this is right there with the best of the best for her. I'm putting it in great season for 11. When it comes to Elle in season 4, we get to see so many different versions of her, right? The season opens with her in California. She doesn't have her powers. She's getting picked on by Angela. She's really struggling in school. Then ultimately we see her with Dr. Owens, and she gets in with the Nina Project, and it's like she's right back to square one with Papa, having to do these experiments and re-exploring some past trauma. So you get a lot with her. Ultimately, she gets to play the hero where she piggybacks from the Surfer Boy Pizza kitchen all the way into Max's mind, fights Vecna. I mean, it's an epic showdown, great moment for season 4. So you get to see so many different versions of her, and you explore more of that trauma. You get more answers as to why and what happened to her in her past. I'd say it's a great season for 11. And finally, we have season 5. When it comes to season 5 for 11, I'm of the opinion it's probably her weakest, just because in retrospect, they didn't let her be with the main party. And that was something I was really looking forward to. The more I've thought on season 5, I'm like, I wish we got to see Elle with the rest of the kids for the whole season. And she's basically in the Upside Down most of the season with Hopper. And when she's with Mike, it's in brief moments. We don't get tons of 11. We don't get really tons of her interacting with the other kids. She is just detached. And I understand the arc they were going for with, her realizing that no matter what, there's always going to be another Pop out there with Dr. K, and she feels this responsibility to keep everyone safe. But I mean, it's the final season of your show, and the main character, arguably one of the main characters, isn't really seen with Mike or Will all that much, and that's kind of a bummer. So I'd say it's her worst season, honestly. It just feels like they kind of saved her around for the finale, which was just a bummer. But anyway, next we got Lucas Sinclair. Underrated character in this show, to be honest with you guys. When it comes to Lucas, I am going to say season 1, much like with Mike Vintage. I'm going to put him right here. It's a great season for the character. I like how there's sort of some clashing between him, Dustin, and Mike throughout the season, and like how they feel about Eleven, but ultimately they're just kids, and it's easy for them to get hot-headed, but also then make amends and remain best buds, and so love that element. Lucas, of course, has a slingshot, his bandana, lovable character in season 1. It's one of his best. Then we got season 2. I would say season 2 for this character is solid. I'm going to put him right here. A main reason being we get to start to see the little seeds of Lumax planted, and I'm a big fan of that, how smitten he is for Max and how he ultimately grows the courage to have a conversation with her at the junkyard, where you kind of fall in love with these two, and they're one of the best ships in the entire show. So you get a lot of Lumax here, and again, Lucas just being a great friend and great supporter of everyone around him, as always, in this second season. Then you got season 3 Lucas. Doesn't have a ton of standout moments. Again, the highlights moments I think of revolve around Lumax. I think that in the epilogue, they have a really cute moment where they're singing Neverending Story, sort of picking on Dustin. That's always been a standout for me. But also, he does contribute when they get the fireworks and they're shooting them off, you know, at Starcourt Mall and the Battle of Starcourt. So he's got some highlight moments. I would just say, again, by default, a little lower because there aren't as many like MVP moments for him, but I would probably go right here with season 3 Lucas. And then you have season 4 Lucas. I think this is the best it gets for the character, guys. The performance from Caleb is at its best. When he's screaming Erica help as he's holding Max's dying body in his arms in the Creel house, it rips your heart out. But also the character himself is going through some change. He wants to break out of his shell, maybe try and get in with playing basketball and not always be viewed as a nerd. But ultimately, he does hang out with his friends and realizes who his true friends are. But he has a bit of self-discovery in this season. He is, you know, there for Max, supporting her, even though she's going through some pretty heavy things emotionally. So I just think that he's such a great supportive friend, and season 4 really displays that. It's also, I think, when the character's performance is at its best. Therefore, season 4 Lucas, best version of the character. And that, I guess, by default leaves season 5 Lucas for the worst version of the character. I'll put him right here. I don't think that he's bad by any means in season 5, but I do think by comparison, it's probably his weakest season. Standout moment for him this season definitely would have to be when he pulls up at the hospital and he's carrying Max's body around, rescuing her from the demo dogs. But other than that, Lucas kind of just there. I mean, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just other characters had more to do this season. Then we got Dustin Henderson, the lovable character, one of my top 3 characters. He still remains pretty high on my list. When it comes to season 1 Dustin, it's the OG version of the character. He's lovable, saved you a slice when he tells Nancy, you know, Cumpathith. He's got so many iconic moments. He's the brains of the party here. Really, like, nothing would happen without him. He figures out the whole magnetic field being thrown off. He's a brilliant young child this season.
Dustin party. Okay.
With endless quotes that'll make you laugh. I'm going to say it's a very solid season for Dustin in season 1. Then we got season 2. I'm actually going to say this is an season, which sounds weird to say, but I think Dustin's pretty great across the board for the most part. Love the moments at the snowball. Love everything with Steve, but the first few episodes when he's messing around with Dart, he gets the gang in trouble. He's not fully truthful with them sometimes. It ends up working out in the end as Dart, you know, is able to communicate with Dustin, or rather Dustin communicates with Dart and saves the day in the tunnels. But still, I'm going to go season, just because I think there are better ones for him. Like season 3, for example. I think we get the Scoops Troop, Steve and Dustin maybe at their best this season, you could argue. And he's got some moments with Erica, with Robin. The Neverending Story bit at the end kills me every time. It's awesome how all season we've been waiting to see Susie and we finally get to see them interact. I would say this is a great season for Dustin Henderson. Season 4, I would say, is the best version of the character. I'm putting him up here for various reasons. Obviously, a major player being Eddie Munson, a character who's introduced and is a very clear role model, sort of older brother to Dustin. Steve and Eddie exist, and they both serve different roles in Dustin's life. And Eddie is a positive force, a role model, saying, you know, hey, embrace who you are, love who you are. And Eddie guides the sheep, right? He is the man, and the death of Eddie is tragic. It clearly took a toll on Dustin, and the performance from Gaten, I think, might be the best this season. It's really incredible stuff, and I just think with season 4, you get the fun Hellfire stuff early on, but then you get him and Eddie all throughout the season. It's just such a delight to see them on screen together. And that leaves the Season 5 Dustin, which I think is the worst version of the character, pretty comfortably. When it comes to Season 5 Dustin, he's clearly grieving. He's traumatized by the death of Eddie, and everyone grieves in different ways. It's been 18 months. He's still grieving, but I just don't care for the way him and Steve bicker endlessly this season. They took the best duo in the show and they made them butt heads for most of the episodes, and that's just disappointing in retrospect for it to be the final season. And I get them grieving, but it didn't need to go on as long as it did. Ended up kind of getting annoying on rewatch, at least. And so I just don't like to see Dustin down in the dumps. I get it, it's probably realistic, but if the time jump wasn't 18 months, if it picked up right on that hillside, it would have made more sense for him to be grieving. But 18 months have passed. I'm not trying to say he needs to move on or anything by any means, but it is like, dang, this is really taking a toll on him, and I just don't like to see him that way. So I don't like to see the lovable Dustin crushed. I know it's probably realistic. It's dark, and it's just, of the versions of Dustin, that's my least favorite. Then we got Max, the first character on this tier list who's not in all 5 seasons, so she will only go from best to eh. I don't think I'll put it outright worst season for her, because really she doesn't have a terrible one. When it comes to Max, season 2 is, of course, the season she's introduced. Her and Billy come in. They immediately add some juice and energy to the show. Lou Max is born in this season as she and Lucas have a fun dynamic, and ultimately it turns into a romance. When it comes to Max season 2, I'm going to say it's a great season. It's awesome to see her in this show. Sadie Sink at a young age crushing it, and I just think with season 2 she's a highlight of the season. So many awesome fan favorite characters were brought in this season. Then we got season 3, which I think is a fine season for Max. Elle Max, huge standout here. I think there are other seasons that might be better for her. I would say solid season for season 3. I would probably go right here. Solid season for Max. Again, I think of the Material Girl montage at the mall, her kind of helping Eleven get out of her shell. That is what I think of when I think of season 3 Max, her and Eleven's friendship blossoming and really benefiting both as they need a true like girlfriend in Hawkins, you know what I'm saying? Then we got season 4 Max. Max Mayfield's season is season 4. Like, it's all about her. The Dear Billy episode is Max's. Running up that hill as she evades Vecna, beyond iconic. It's her best season. It is her season. Like, that is the Max season, the Max show, and I'm not mad about it. It's her best season. That leaves season 5 to be her worst. I am gonna say just because, you know, I don't think it's the worst version of Max. It's just she's in a hospital bed for 90% of it, it feels like. Yes, we still get to see her from the end of episode 3 onward in Camazotz, and her and Holly are an awesome duo. That's some of my favorite content that we get out of season 5. We don't get to see Max interact with the party really at all this season. She's with Holly for most of the time, and then when she wakes up, it's in the penultimate episode of the season. So we don't get to see Max with Mike, with Eleven, really at all. There was no Elle Max. That's a huge knock. So as awesome as she is, as great as Sadie Sink was, I'm going to say is her worst version of the character. No fault of her own, it's just she's such a great character in the other seasons. And I'm not saying she's wasted in season 5, but she is in a hospital bed for most of it, so that's a bummer. Then we got Erica, another character who's introduced in season 2. Season 2 is actually going to be her worst season for me. I'm going to say just because, again, there's only 4 versions of the character, but she's barely in it. She's kind of there for the comedic relief. I don't even know if the Duffers or anyone knew she would become as big of a character as she did. She's just Lucas's kid sister who is kind of sassy at times, and she pops up here and there. There's not much to her, but in season 3, her role is greatly increased, and I think this is the best version of Erica comfortably. I'm putting her up there right now. She has multiple one-liners that will get you laughing. You know, you can't spell America without Erica, just the facts. When she calls Murray a bald bastard, like, it's just great stuff.
Until you bald bastard.
Comedy gold here, and at first, like in 2019, I wasn't as high on Erica. Now I'm like, yeah, she's hilarious. So season 3, her and the Scoops Troop, gotta love it. Gotta love it. Then we got season 4 Erica, a strong version of the character as well. Early on, we get to see her the most when, you know, she steps in and partakes in the Hellfire Club, and they end up winning. Like, it's just awesome. I would say 4 and 5 are kind of a tight race. I'll go great season for season 4 because she's a really contributing player, especially in the back half. She's a champion. I mean, she's getting chased down and like beat up by Andy, but she's still helping out in the final mission. So she probably plays her most important role in season 4, arguably. And that leaves season 5, where of course her standout moment is in the Turnbow trap as she helps knock out the Turnbow family. And I told you to eat your damn pie. It's a great moment. So I'm going to say solid season for Erica, season 5. I wish we got more of her in the back half. but her role in the Turnbow Trap kind of makes up for the lack of her elsewhere. That leaves King Steve, Steve the Hare Harrington. He's next up as we've sort of transitioned out of the kids. We're getting into the older teens now. When it comes to season 1, Steve, this is probably toxic of me and probably a hot take. I don't think season 1 is his worst season. I think season 1 is when we really get to see the origins of Steve. He's sort of your classic 80s bully, a-hole, you know, he's very much a character who operates in the gray area, but by the end, he turns it around a little bit. You can see he's kind of been set on the right path. He makes amends as he, you know, cleans off the theater marquee, and he's with Nancy at the end of season 1. He also pulls up at the Byers house with the bat flip, one of my favorite shots from all of Stranger Things. I'm going to say it's an season. Steve has great character development. This is like pre-Steve glow up essentially, but it's still a version that I'm fond of and liked from the beginning because I am toxic for Steve Harrington at times. I can admit that though. Then we got season 2 Steve, and I believe this is the best version of Steve. That might be a hot take. I'm putting him up there right now. When it comes to Steve, when I think of the character, I think of this shot right here of him with sunglasses, the bat on his back, the yellow gloves, the gray jacket. That is Steve Harrington. He's paired up with Dustin. He's immediately a mentor, older brother to him. But this is really where his character development kicks into another gear. He is now not just an asshole boyfriend. He is a lovable dude who realizes his wrongdoings. In the first half of the season, he still has some of that season 1 Steve in him, but he grows so much. He develops into this babysitter role as he's looking out for all the kids, and he even has heart-to-heart with Nancy in the end where he's like, you know what, I was an a-hole, like, I'm sorry. He apologizes. He grows a lot this season, and because of that development, that allows for us to have the season 3 Steve that we all love so much, that is iconic. So I think season 2 is the most important Steve season that turned his life around for the better and made all the fans fall in love with him. So because of that, I think season 2 is the best. But a hair behind him is season 3 Steve. Still a great season, as he's basically in his Scoops Ahoy outfit 99% of the time. He's hilarious here when he gets drugged up and is just being a lunatic down fighting the Russians. Like, you gotta love it all. But also, he's paired up with Robin here, one of my favorite duos. And the whole scene where Robin comes out to Steve and Steve just immediately, without missing a beat, accepts her and, you know, loves her as a friend. Like, that is just such a heartwarming moment. Steve's a lovable guy. This season cements that. And then we got season 4. I think it's a solid season for Steve. He still contributes a lot here. He almost dies. They really faked us out with the cliffhanger at the end of the dive, which was scary. But I think it's a solid, strong season for Steve. He's working at Family Video, and he's not afraid to kick some ass in those final episodes. So it's a solid season for him. So I didn't realize when filming this initially that I needed to add black squares to make this look symmetrical, so I just took a little break to add these in. I panicked for a second, but I was quick on my feet like Dustin in season 4, okay? The final version of Steve is season 5 Steve. This could be a hot take. I don't think it should be. I think the worst version of Steve is in season 5. The main reason being, he has such a short fuse here. I love Steve. He's like a 1A, 1B type character for me along with Hopper, but this version of the character, I just couldn't stand. He was very cranky, very irritable. I don't like how they tried to continue to push Stancy when it was clear Jancy was the direction they were going, and then neither was the direction they ended up going. So I just don't know. Steve and Dustin, their relationship was on the rocks for a lot of the season. Him and Jonathan having like a macho contest. It wasn't all there for me. Obviously, in the end, both of those duos make up and make amends, and we get some awesome Steve moments, but I just didn't care for how they took my favorite character, one of them I'll say, and my like third favorite character in Dustin, and they ended up having them fight like an old married couple for most of the season. It just wasn't something I enjoyed, especially when I know that these two are capable of greatness. And so it just really got under my skin, and I think that it's the worst version of the character. Next, we have Jonathan Byers, a character who has some highs and some really low lows. I think season 1 Jonathan, arguably the best version of the character, but I am going to put him just at great season. He is supportive. He is there trying to keep it together for the Byers family when his mom is losing it. No one believes Winona, or Joyce, if you will. She seems crazy thinking she's having communication with Will, and Jonathan is just the older brother who's trying to keep things in check, trying to keep his mom calm, and he has so many awesome moments with Nancy here. He has the alley fight with Steve. Obviously, in season 1, he does some shady things where he, takes pictures of Nancy. That's a bit weird, but I think they kind of moved past that. It's still a very creepy thing to do, but nonetheless, I think overall, it's a great season, and Charlie Heaton's performance is A1. He's awesome. I think season 2 is the best version of Jonathan. I'm gonna put him up here right now. Season 2 Jonathan is awesome. He's there for Nancy the entire season. I think this is the best version of Jancy we see. Their first kiss, oh my goodness, when the score kicks in, makes me feel all warm and cuddly inside. It's just such a great nostalgic moment and sweet romantic moments. But also, he's there for Will, right? He is there in the Morse code scene. He takes care of Nancy driving home from the party. Like, this is the definitive Jonathan Byers, in my opinion. So I think that's as good as it gets for Johnny Boy. Then we got season 3. He's fine in season 3. I would say he's solid here. He might even be in the right at times when him and Nancy are arguing. Jonathan has to maintain that job for stability, and they have a couples fight for sure. I would say it's a solid season for him. Outside of the early goings when he's doing a lot of investigating for Driscoll, he doesn't have a ton to do necessarily, but I think that it's a solid season for the character. I think season 4 Jonathan, probably the worst version of the character. Yes, he has that moment where he speaks to Will and he's embracing Will as an older brother. He's like, I'm always gonna love you, I'm always here for you. Awesome older brother here, but for way too much of the season is he just a stoner, borderline a loser. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's not being truthful with Nancy. I just thought that he was a bit out of it this season, so I'm going to say that's his worst season. And then I'll say season 5 is an ass season for Jonathan. I do like moments with him. Ultimately, I wish Jonathan and Nancy ended up together. I don't really know why they didn't, but maybe, hey, they end up down the line. I think there was some nods and looks between them shared on that rooftop of the WSQK radio station where I'm like, okay, they could maybe end up together. It's kind of my headcanon, but he's fine this season. Was it a little weird to have the engagement ring? Probably, but he's whatever. He's kind of just there. I don't like, again, how he's fighting with Steve and they're still trying to compete. It's just weirdness, but it's an ad version, but they're way better versions of Jonathan. Then we got Nancy Wheeler herself. Nancy's tough. I think she has some awesome moments throughout the show, and I haven't really ranked her before, so this is very difficult for me, honestly. I can tell you, I think that the best version of Nancy is probably going to be, I'll say it, I think it's gotta be season 1. Iconic version of Nancy. That outfit right there is what I think of when I see Nancy. She's with Steve, she's with Jonathan, but she's still a badass here, and I really like this character this season and how she has her own little arc. I would say her best season is season 1, and maybe that's off base, but I'm feeling it right now in the moment. Season 2, Nancy, her and Jonathan are going full investigative reporter, journalist. I would say this version of the character is solid. I would go solid for season 2 Nancy right here. I don't know about where I put season 3 though. Season 3, it's not her worst season, but it arguably is, in my opinion. Especially early on when her and Jonathan are kind of at odds, and she has a horrible situation, everyone kind of being a misogynistic asshole to her at the workplace very clearly. I might have to say this is her worst season. Season 3, Nancy is the one that sticks out the least to me. I think her and Jonathan both in season 3 could have been better. Then we got season 4. I think this is a great season for Nancy. I'm putting it right here. Great season for her. This is where she plays a pivotal role in relaying information to the audience, at least when Vecna takes her at the end. But she's no nonsense here. She's got a pump shotgun. She's going in on Vecna. She's no nonsense, standing on business here. And she does give Steve some flirty looks, and who wouldn't? You're bandaging up Steve Harrington, of course. Why wouldn't you? And then you got season 5 where Nancy's a full-on badass. She has a freaking machine gun in the finale shooting at the Mind Flayer. She's not afraid to stand on business in season 5. I also really like early on how she's kind of leading the charge, trying to talk to her mom, figure out what's going on with Mr. What's-It. I think we're doing a switcheroo here, maybe? I think we might switcheroo, guys. I don't know. I'll put her right here in 4th. I could argue that's a solid season for her, but I'll go 4th. She's still so badass here, but yeah, I mean, Nancy's a great character across the board, so that was a tough one for me. Next, we have Robin, and because Robin's not in season 1 or season 2, I added some black squares, so I am going to just go ahead and say, boop, worst season there, and boop, season there, because Robin doesn't really have bad seasons, in my opinion, but because there's 3, and for symmetry's sake, we're going to just go ahead and have those black squares down there. The first season we get Robin is season 3, and that is her best season. That is the best version of the character. I'm putting her up here. Obviously, a lot of the season, the audience is believing, oh, she's going to end up with Steve. Little did they know, or we know, I should say, that she comes out to Steve, and they both just have such an awesome friendship. The chemistry's off the charts there, but Robin is a genius. She's able to crack this Russian code. She's cool. I want to hang out with Robin this season. She just seems awesome, and I like how she is able to open up to Steve fully and be herself and pour her heart out to him. And so I just really appreciated the spark that Maya Hawke's performance brought to this season. Robin instantly kind of a comfort character for many people. I view her as one. She just makes you feel safe and warm. So I think season 1 Robin's awesome. Season 4 Robin I think is great. I'm going to put her right here, especially when her and Nancy pair up and they go undercover as Ruth and Rose to Penhurst. Can't get enough of that. And her and Steve working at Family Video, I also adore that. So there's a lot to love with season 4 Robin. And then season 5 Robin is solid. I don't think she's bad. Standout here is going to be when she's paired up with Will and sort of comforts him and gives him the courage to come out to his friends and be proud of who he is. So I'm going to say solid season 5. I wonder what would have been if she was in the other seasons, but I think that she came in at the right time in the show. Then we got Hopper himself, my favorite character in the show. I think that he is hard to top. He is the man. Season 1 Hopper, iconic. All right, very difficult to top in my opinion. In fact, I think it's his best season. Again, there's a lot of mystery around this character, but it's very clear he's got a traumatic past. He lost his daughter, that dwells on him heavily, and it's beautifully paralleled in the end when they rescue Will and he's having flashbacks to losing Sarah. It's just, it's gut-wrenching. His journey sort of parallels Joyce's. He can relate to that because he's lost a kid, so he's able to relate to Joyce, who's like a past romantic flame. He's dealing with some issues. He's taking some pills, he's drinking, like he is dealing with demons here. He's thrown into the middle of it and he's got some trauma, but he's also able to make some quips. He goes like full Indiana Jones at times when he needs to, investigating, and he ends up believing Joyce as the two of them make for one hell of a duo. So I think that version of Hopper to me is just like the best version of this character. Season 2 Hopper is very solid in my opinion, right? Early on, he takes in 11. We see him being a dad to 11. They get into some spats. Ultimately, they pair up again in the back half of the season. He just opens up to her. I think of the scene, it's so The Last of Us coded when they're driving to Hawkins' lab and he's like, talking about Sarah, and Eleven's like, who's Sarah? And he's like, that's my girl. It's my little girl. It's just like, oh my gosh, it rips your heart out. I think it's a very solid season for him. I'm going to put it right here for Hopper for season 2. Then we got season 3. I love season 3 Hopper unashamedly. I don't even care what anyone says. I know most people would have this as his worst season. I love that he's kind of a drunk buffoon early on who's dealing with some things. He's got a short fuse this season, but the hilarity is there. He's fighting the Terminator. I mean, the speech in the end should put him at the top spot. I also cosplay as this version of Hopper. I'm putting him in great. I don't care what anyone says, okay? I don't. Then we got season 4 where he's in the Russian prison. This is really where we get to explore some of his past trauma. He opens up when he has his monologue. Incredible stuff. The Jopper reunion's there. He is secluded and in this prison for 90% of the season, it feels like, so I'll go but still not a bad season by any means. There's some highlight Hopper moments. And then we have season 5, which I think is the worst version of the character just because by default he falls there. I mean, every other version has more highlight moments. Hopper's plan is kind of strange and faulty, how he has a bomb vest strapped to himself and he wasn't going to tell anyone about it. He's very concerned about protecting those around him, so he's almost overprotective to a fault in this season. So I would say it's probably his worst season. I just put it right there. Bang at the bottom. Then we got Joyce and Murray. There's only 2 characters left here. Joyce is mother. Season 1, Joyce is the best version of Joyce. She is willing to do whatever it takes to find her son, and she will believe he's out there no matter what anyone else tells her. She's awesome this season. I'm going to put her at the best. The Christmas lights moment is one of the true standout iconic moments from Stranger Things. Winona's performance here, borderline Emmy-worthy, some could argue. I think that's her best season. Season 2, comparable to season 1. She's got Bob this season and deals with that heartbreak. I would say that's a great season for Winona. I would go right here. I call her Winona. Joyce. That's a great season for her, especially because she has to deal with the loss of Bob, and it seems like maybe she could be happy she's found the person for her, but no, she loses him, and it's just tragic, but she's always there for Will through thick and thin, and so I'd say that's a great season. Then we got season 3, Joyce. Kind of silly this season, much like Hopper. I would say this is sort of an season for her. She's not doing as much this season. Her and Hopper have their moments of chemistry for sure, but I would say by comparison to some of these others. Season 4, on the other hand, when she's in Russia, I would say solid season for her, especially because we get a lot of her and Murray early on trying to crack the code to figure out who sent this letter, what's going on. They end up going to Russia together, so that duo is great. I would say solid season. And then the worst season, I think, objectively, is probably season 5. On this rewatch I'm doing right now, as I put her down here, they made Joyce really dumb, guys. It's kind of frustrating in Volume 1, especially when she's just falling for things with the flux capacitor. Joyce has never been that out of touch. She's the same person in season 1 who's able to crack the code with the lights and will do whatever it takes to figure out Will is missing. And in season 4, she's on it with the letter from Hopper. In season 3, she's figuring out something's wrong with the magnets. In season 2, she's on it. She's always been on top of it. In season 5, she's just not for some reason. And it's a strange decision character-wise, in my opinion. So I was always kind of weird in retrospect, especially. And then we've got Murray, who is not in season 1, so I'm just going to go ahead and do this right here. Murray's first season is season 2. This is tough. I'm going to say solid. He's solid in season 2. He's not in it a ton. We see him early on, and then Jonathan and Nancy show up at his place later, and that's kind of when we get the best of him. We get the whole, how was the pullout line.
How was the pullout?
This kind of just shows him as like a neurotic dude who lives out on the fringes of town. He's anti-government. He thinks everyone's spying on him, so he plays a solid role here, but it's not his best season. Season 3, maybe his best, in my opinion. I mean, with Season 3, Murray, you've got him and Alexei paired up. As you can see, I took the image here with the corn dogs. You know, losing Alexei is so tragic, but he helps out in the final moment. He's deemed the bald eagle here. I would say Season 3 Murray, like, it might just be my favorite version of the character. I think I am going to say Season 3 Murray is my favorite. I think I am, just because he gets to be fully outlandish, but also have, like, moments where they're driving in the back of the car and he just goes off on Hopper and Joyce, or contributing in the final act, the final episode, rather. I think he's at his best in Season 3, but Season 4 is, like, right there with him. Like, Season 4, when he fights Yuri in the plane, or when he flame throws the demo. Like, there are just so many moments like that where, like, Murray's badass, guys, and he's also hilarious in Season 4. And then in Season 5, he's kind of sidelined. I think they could have killed him. Him surviving was really of no consequence. He shows up briefly in the graduation, but we don't really even get an epilogue for him. He's just there. He is basically Santa Murray this season. He is, like, the guy smuggling in goods for everyone, but they could have totally killed him in the end, and it would have, you know, made the stakes feel higher. We could have lost him. I really thought Murray was going to die, but he just lived, and he's out there, and we don't really know what he's up to, but he's out there. So, worst season for me, Murray, Season 5. He's not really involved all that much outside of smuggling stuff in. He's kind of just chilling, which a lot of characters are in Season 5, which is not a big deal. I'm dissecting it all on Patreon right now if you want my full honest thoughts. But that does it for this tier list. That was a long one, a lot of yapping on my part. What tiers would you place these characters in? Let me know down below, and of course hit that like button. If you want to fill out your own version of this tier list, you can do so, and tag me on Instagram. I'll repost it to my story. It should be in the pinned comment as well as the description of this video, the link to access this tier list. But that'll do it. Thank you guys as always for watching. Stay tuned for more videos coming very soon. Until next time, I'll see you on the other side of the Upside Down.